Welcome to Political Rally on public cable television, exposing political shenanigans. In this show, we will review Social Security. Let me introduce Professor Walter and his class of higher learning.
Thank you, Mr. Colwell, and welcome to my classroom here at the Get With It Institute. In today's subject, we are going to review President Bush's private account proposal to revamp Social Security. Many of you have heard by now that Social Security is expected to go bankrupt in the mid-21st century. So, let's explore this claim. 1. We will review the signing of the Social Security Act by President Roosevelt. 2. The principal forces leading up to the creation of Social Security. 3. Review the system. And 4. Review the problem plaguing the system. Let's take a look at the signing of the legislation by President FDR in 1935.
Today, a hope of many years standing is in large part fulfilled. The civilization of the past 100 years, with its startling industrial changes, has tended more and more to make life insecure. Young people have come to wonder what would be their lot when they came to old age. The man with a job has wondered how long the job would last. This Social Security measure gives at least some protection to 30 million of our citizens who will reap direct benefits through unemployment compensation, through old age pensions, and through increased services for the protection of children and the prevention of ill health. We can never insure 100% of the population against 100% of the hazards and vicissitudes of life, but we have tried to frame a law which will give some measure of protection to the average citizen and to his family against the loss of a job and against poverty-stricken old age. It seems to me that if the Senate and the House of Representatives in this long and arduous session had done nothing more than pass this security bill, Social Security Act, the session would be regarded as historic for all time.
Upon signing of the Social Security Act by President Roosevelt in 1935, he set in motion that help kept millions of retired people from slipping into extreme poverty and provided some measure of security for our elders, and he helped set the stage through transforming government into a socialist state. Today our society is a mixed bag of a capitalist and socialist government that's constantly seeking balance between the rich, the poor and the middle class. Let's travel back in time leading up to the creation of Social Security, the Great Depression and Industrial Revolution. The Great Depression has put millions of people out of work when the stock market crashed in October 24, 1929, known as Black Thursday. This economic disaster precipitated the Great Depression that lasted a decade. This was caused by many factors, but the principal causes were rampant speculation of companies and investments, including many large banks that could not liquidate their loans quickly. As the result, people's investments in the stock market became worthless. Suddenly, their financial security for their retirement plans went up in smoke. Rich people lost their fortunes, middle class lost their jobs. Worse, the poor became destitute. The aftermath of the stock market crash exposed major vulnerabilities of people's retirement future. How can one save money or invest in stocks for their retirement only to be wiped out from major economic upheaval? The conclusion was, not much. During the 1920s, the upper class who owned stocks have lost some to all their investments. This is a great concern for everybody who invests in stocks that can be lost due to some future economic crash. Today, this includes everybody, the rich, the poor, upper and lower middle class people. Yes, many lower class people have some form of IRA, or 401k, which is usually invested into some type of direct or indirect stock ownership. Just recently, we have experienced a couple of financial boondoggles. The dot-com crash, the Enron and WorldCom scandals. Many people have lost an enormous amount of money in their 401k retirement savings in those companies. Some lost everything. And let's not to rule out future potential failures such as company pensions going bankrupt, including real estate crash where the prices of homes were skyrocketing. What kinds of protection will private accounts suggested by President Bush can offer? Some have suggested that these private accounts would have strict controls on the type of investments it can employ to avoid major loss of their money. These could consist of money market investments, U.S. Treasury saving bonds and others, which are safe, but offer very little protection against inflation, which eats away one's savings account over time. And let's not forget paying taxes when cashing in these saving bonds. So, the bottom line, not much savings. So what has helped bring about the creation of Social Security? Aside from the Great Depression, it was largely played out from the Industrial Revolution. Families moving from rural life to city life have tremendous impacts on family dynamics. During the early 1900s, people working in factories gained and lost their jobs overnight with little or no savings to weather the ups and downs of the new industrial economy. Folks living on the farms largely depended on themselves to provide their own food and clothing for their family members. This did not mean people working at the farms had it any easier, just some measure of security where the old continued to live with their children with built-in resources of the family life that it provided. People living in cities had fewer resources in housing, food and such in their ability to contribute to the family's well-being and financial security. The Social Security system was a setup to augment their personal savings and pension plan. The system was never meant to be full retirement package, only to be a small measure of security. That notion has changed over the years where people did not want to save anything for their retirement or did not contribute anything to their pension plans that may be available to them at companies they worked for. Hence, this caused greater dependence on the Social Security system. In reality, we have become dependent on the government rather than depending on ourselves. Nevertheless, Social Security was a start to allow some sense of security for people's golden years as they retire from the workforce. And, by large measure, the system worked. Now, let's examine how the Social Security system was originally set up.